enjoy it, maybe some coordination, you know.
It's a skill, yeah.
It's you're picking up life skills, you're picking up personality, you know, changes potentially. So there's so much more I think martial arts can cover, and it's for everyone. Even if you are the footballer, even if you are the this, it's open.
Do you think this? Do you think that? Because I think I've definitely thought in the past that, you know, martial arts should be taught in school,
100%.
like how I made. Yeah,
I've been saying it.
but do you not think on the flip side that it takes, you know, that person not having the choice to come to martial arts, it takes away from those personality changes that you talk about and that sort of thing? You know, if you think of them kids that are kind of unwilling to learn, that probably, you know, the one, you know,
it's an interesting point. I've never looked at it like that. If it's in every school, let's say hypothetically it's in every school, then the kid that's timid in that environment, who wants the self-confidence, is faced with the same problem when the bully goes to that class.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I've never kind of looked at it like that, because I do think it should be in every school. I do think there's so much more.
And which martial art?
Again, that's a hard question, because I would say there's many that, yeah, maybe, and then there's many that probably not. So that's really open. I think, you know, some of them are very just traditional and very loyal to its heritage, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not necessarily relevant for the person's needs who's walking. Something that was designed and built in Japan in a time where, you know, there was war and people were really, you've now put it in the 21st century in a school in, you know, Surrey. It's out of place. So then you're going to scare people away from what benefits they could have got from it, just because you've got all these old styles of teaching and these old approaches, stern face, and, you know, everything's very rigid, and it's not a very welcoming environment. And those people that could have benefited from having that are now almost too intimidated to walk through the doors to become.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's funny how, like, certain things appeal to certain people. You know, like you mentioned the traditional elements of martial arts, not something that appeals to me. I think when I was younger, I was like 12 watching, you know, Bruce Lee movie, Karate Kid. That, you know, that appealed to me then. As I've got older, it doesn't appeal to me. You know, by straight up the barrel and stuff, I just think like waste of time and all that sort of thing. But certain people like it, certain coaches like it, certain environments like it, and you see people flock, different people. There's no like kind of one size fits all for everyone.
I don't think there isn't anything, and I don't think martial arts any different. But I think as martial artists and as coaches, you could be open to more. You know, we could be open to, you know, I now do CrossFit classes in our gym, and obviously alongside the kickboxing, and you could just be open to the idea of more, which I think a lot of the traditional coaches just aren't.
Even like the new age coaches kind of thing, aren't open to old ideas.
100%. There's a lot in the traditional that is useful, and there's a lot.
I remember your dad teaching was it the 8 steps? Is that right?
Are you talking about Lao Gar?
Lao Gar stuff.
Yeah,
and he done it like for a few sessions.
And
my legs were broken, but you can see that being able to do that will give you a conditioning. Is like just an amazing conditioning drill.
The core strength is, and it's funny because that stuff I can appreciate so much more now. But when I was younger, I just hated it. It was just self-torture. It literally was just self-torture. Like,
and you think about Michael's kicks and stuff. A lot of that comes from the forms that he would have done. You know, all the
holding horse riding stances, and you know, even the way forms are today. Like a lot of them, you know, creative forms, backflips, and you know, it's beautiful, looks good. But I'm talking about holding a horse riding stance for like 3 minutes while someone gives you a round kick to the body. That's conditioning like nothing else. Like, and obviously that's out of date in its entirety, in its entirety. But horse riding stance is still something we use, holding that low stance and building up the muscular endurance in the leg is still something we still use. It's just modified. Obviously, I'm not going to hit your legs with bamboo sticks so you go lower and kick your stomach to make sure you're tensing your abs. Like, it's just just like you say, traditional ideas brought forwards.
How would you describe yourself as a coach?
That's a hard one. How would I describe myself as a coach? Man, this is a good one. You're doing good there, B. I would like to describe myself as having a good eye for detail, because I think that's what really makes the difference. I would like to say I am stern, but only at the right time in the right place. I'm stern but approachable.
Fair.
And fair. I try to be fair, but fair is quite. I would say approachable. I'd say if you've got a problem, you should be able to approach me. However, don't approach me with foolishness. Basically, that's
have a well thought through problem. Try and solve your own problems before you come to you.
Well, so that's one of the things I always say to my students. So a lot of the time they come up, you get injuries in training. They'll come up to me and they'll be like, I hurt my toe, or I hurt my ankle, and they'll say it, and I'll just stare at them. And I'll be like, listen, I've got enough problems. I don't need yours. What are you going to do about it? Or what would you like me to do about it? Can I put some ice on it? Of course, go and put some ice on it. See, what you've just done there is you worked out your own problem and solved it. You didn't need me. All you needed to do is, I hurt my ankle. So the next time I hurt my ankle, I'm just going to go put some ice on it for 10 minutes, if that's okay. And then I'll come back 100%. And now I've taught you how to solve that problem without having to really do much. It's just having a confidence in what you're doing to do it.
Do you obviously coaching has changed even since when I was working with you and your dad. We've got YouTube now, and kids got access to phones and like a wealth of information. I know that in my own training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I use the internet as almost like a second coach.
Yeah,
I learn stuff now that my own coaches haven't taught. Like, you can see you're exposed to a variety of different styles. Do you use the internet to learn different moves and stuff? Do you watch different fighters? Do the kids you teach come to you with stuff like, oh, look, I've seen this on YouTube, or that sort of thing?
I do, but kind of a little bit more organically. I don't go and look over it. And maybe that's because at the moment I'm not really competing. Maybe if I was competing, maybe I would a lot more. You study your craft a bit more when you're actually in it. I used to, but when I was fighting, most of the time when I was fighting, I was in a tournament room. That's YouTube in real life action. I was literally walking, say there's 8 areas in a room, and just sitting from mat to mat, watching different styles, different people, different approaches, younger, older, faster, slower. And it was a whole day, because I might get there at 10 o'clock in the morning. We're not leaving there till 8 o'clock at night. So It's the whole day of YouTube, essentially. I fight for what is, let's say, conclusively, maybe 30 minutes. And that's a long time. That's, let's say,
it's like
maximum. Let's say warm up and the fights. If I get for the finals in all of them, or whatever, all the different things that I was fighting in, maybe 30 minutes.
Mate, Jesus Christ.
But maybe like 30 minutes. And then outside of that, I'm just sitting and watching, and I'm taking it all in. So if you've got YouTube now, obviously you're in a perfect place, because you don't need to be in a hall for the whole day to get that kind of information. However, I feel like for myself, I got a lot of it just being in that environment. Now, like I say, more organically, I'll come back to that, is obviously if I'm watching Mike fight, or if I'm watching one of the guys from Shoot go and fight, I might watch that whole card. And watching fighters I didn't really know about, or I mean, before Mike did MMA, I didn't know a lot about it, to be honest with you. He didn't either. So now I'm kind of playing catch up a little bit, and I'm watching a lot more through him, and then I'm picking up on things. And obviously now I'm training in it. I'm like, oh, he did this. Oh, he did that. Oh, did you see that? And I'm saying it to Mike, and Mike's like rolling his eyes, like, yeah, he did this, yeah. And I'm kind of like, oh, but
I've got to tell you a story about your dad. Talking about it was talking about different resources and how you learned and stuff. Obviously, your dad's generation were basically brought up on like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan films.
Yeah.
Do you remember your dad obviously had them mad kicks?
Yeah.
And he used to just move his leg around like, is he going to round kick you? Is he going to hook kick you? Is he going to crescent kick you? Kind of thing. And I remember me and Dan Patterson were in your dad's house doing work. And we come down, obviously we're working, I've come downstairs, he's watching a Jackie Chan film.
Yeah.
And Jackie Chan is I can't remember the name of the movie, but someone will say, but he's fighting a Taekwondo master. And then I was about to dig your dad out for like just chilling out. And then on the TV, the Taekwondo master's like doing the mad kicks your dad does. Yeah. And I was like, and he just started laughing. I was like, that's where you got it from. So like even back then they were like looking at movies and stuff and taking it in and going, oh, we'll try that move out and see if it's effective and all that. Even from films, man.
Yeah, from films. Everything. Just it's playful, and you have to have an open mind. And I feel like sometimes some martial arts gets a bad rep because it's almost a bit cultish. So, you know, you have to see everything. They're robots. They're building machines.
Yeah.
And everyone looks at the same direction. Everyone does this, and this works, and this doesn't, and this is right, and this is wrong. Too many boundaries.
It's mad to think that can exist in the modern day and age with all this stuff, but they do still exist. And you go, I was going to say one, but I'm not going to bash anyone art at all. But yeah, that's an interesting question then to ask you. What have you, if you can remember, what have you discarded from training? Like, what have you, as a coach now, you're in charge of the academies and you run the training sessions. What have you got rid of, and what have you added?
Anything that hasn't been proven to work.
But so, like one or two examples of things that you personally have thought, that's not effective for my students. It's not
some of the blocks, some of the traditional blocks, which are for like close combat. Again, that kind of derived from the Lao Gar. It's when they're right there, you block, you open them up, and then it's a smash to the neck and a choke here and a this and that. So a lot of the like close contact techniques, because in our style that we now teach, we train distancing. That's one of our main things. So
do you think that's there's a bit lost there then?
I don't feel like there's, like I said, everything for has its place, and I think Lao Gar had its place because everyone fought like that, meaning everyone got in your face and then started to fight. Now, what happens when someone doesn't work? It's just nullified everything that you thought you knew.
The rule set's different. And
the rule sets are different. And it's the rules that changes things. So we don't train for rules as such. We train for combat. And in that, it's adaptive. And if you show me something that can work, you show me how it can work, I'm open to it.
There's a big debate across a lot of martial arts communities between self-defense, effective self-defense, and sport martial arts. Most martial arts have a sport variant. Like I would say the effective martial arts will have a sport where you can go and test techniques. And purists will say, oh, but the sport, the rule set's watered down, so you lose techniques. And you do, like, you look at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is not really used in MMA that much anymore. I mean, there is still Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys. It's not used as much as it was at the beginning. Because the sport itself, if you watch Brazilian tournaments, it's changed completely from what it originally was. And it's the same with sport. The same with point fighting. The rules give it a certain bent. How much of your training, your competition is focused on competition. Your training and your instruction is focused on the self-defense aspect. Do you even think about it versus the competition aspect of it?
I don't really train. I mean, we have a small team of fighters who go and compete, so I have to make sure they're adaptive. So sometimes we'll do things in certain drills to help us with the rule set. But as in the core training of the club and the kind of mantra and the ethos of the club is not to train for competition. It's to train for combat. And that's why we use certain techniques in our syllabus, like elbow strikes, which is illegal in every sport, kickboxing competition that we attend.
Yeah.
But we still teach it because we know it can be effective. And the reason is you have no control over the rules. The rules are there to keep people safe and to form the sport. They are always going to change. That's always going to happen. With time, rules change. If you have something that's built up around that, then you're going to neglect a lot of the combat elements because they're doing things to make it safer. Whereas the combat is doing something to make you safer if you ever had to use it. So it's almost using their ethos in your room. It doesn't work. You have to have your own roots. This is why we can't go completely away from the core reason of why we're there. People get lost in competitions and you just see coaches just out there and, I just want my fighters to be the best. They're the best here in this rule set. And then all of a sudden they get a good couple punches and they're in a world of trouble. Their head's gone. They're upset. They're complaining to the referee. You're not ready for combat. You're ready for this room, providing you have a referee that's going to protect you. Guess what? If one of my fighters stepped outside of this hall and someone in the car park went to have a pop at them, they are going to be able to deal with that situation. They're not going to rely on the referee, the person crossing the road, the shopkeeper, or someone else to step in. They can handle it. And that's what is important for me. You have to be able to handle whatever's thrown at you. This is just a rule set. And this is why I don't stick to one organization when we do go out to compete. I'll go to one, I'll go to another. You get more points in this one, different points in this one. We went to one and they still allow drop sweeps and cartwheel kicks. My fighters were they were like, what the? They were fighting. All of a sudden, someone did a cartwheel kick towards them. And I was just smiling. I was like, this is great. Guess what?
That's really cool, yeah.
You're not in control of combat.
Do you actually emphasize that to your students then?
100%.
Or is it just something that's unwritten, like you just train a certain way?
100%. I let them all know. Exactly what I'm telling you, I'll let them know as well. I train you for combat. This is a style, but I train you for combat.
Do you find that helps with their mindset going into competition?
Yeah.
Like nerves and that sort of thing, that they're there, essentially it's like a training session.
100%. 100%. Look, you have to remember you're in a fight first. I don't want you looking at the medic, the referee, at me. You are here alone. This is your situation. You handle your situation. And I've always said, the obsession on trophies and stuff, it doesn't mean I had hundreds of trophies and medals. And where are they now? I don't even know if I've got a couple of them left. I could have kept a few. But they don't mean anything to me. They mean more to the fighter. And I've always said, you guys get trophies, that's good for you. That's got nothing to do with me. I might have a go at you right as you step off the mat because you didn't do what you're supposed to do. But you've got your trophy, you're happy. You shouldn't be happy if I'm talking to you. I need you to listen to what I'm saying. So it's that kind of vibe. It's not for me, it's for you, the trophies. I don't really care.
Are you aware, though, that that's because you've won so many?
Maybe. I think it's just always having the grounding of why are we doing this? If you can't ask yourself that question all the time, then you get lost. You get lost in what you're doing. Why are we here? Why are you doing this? I'm building you as a person, as a character, as a martial artist. I'm not here so you can win a new shiny trophy for your cabinet. That's what you might be here for. But I need you to understand that means nothing to me. And one thing I would say, it does mean something to other clubs, not to other clubs, to other students in the club, because they're going to obviously aspire to do that or they're going to look at the medals and think, yeah, I want to get a medal one day. Fine, because the result's going to be the same for me. I'm going to give them the same training. I'm going to talk to them in the same way, and I'm going to get the best out of them like I would anyway. So
I think that's important, just from a student's perspective, that to have a consistent coach, like consistency. Like I remember your dad saying to me, like no matter what, when he used to take you and Mikey and all that to tournaments and stuff, he said no matter win, lose, whatever, you go and get some fried chicken afterwards. It's the same treats day, all that sort of stuff. There was no like, oh amazing, you won this, let's go, or you lost, rubbish. It was just consistency all the time.
Yeah.
I think that played a big part in why you guys became winners and stuff.
Massively. The thing is, as people, as beings, generally speaking, if we do something, and this is really generally speaking, we want to do well at it. You want to be recognized for doing well at it as well. So the consistency bit is important. Otherwise, you're going to have really high highs and really low lows. And when Michael lost his first fight, I knew what he's about, but this is a new environment for us. I know what Mike's about. Mike's lost before big important fights and whatever, but not with like, a potential $1 million on the line, your unbeaten record on the line, so many different variables in front of a camera, in front of, hundreds of thousands of people. So I knew what he would normally do and what he's about. I didn't know what he would do. And watching him turn it around, dude, I was like, man, you are like, if I was impressed before, I'm ridiculously impressed right now. Like literally, he went in, he had a moment for like 20 minutes. He spoke to his coaches and stuff, and he just pulled himself out of that and went, right, I've got to get this done again. And I'm going to come back harder and stronger. And literally, from he said that to himself, he turned it around. And I was like, wow, this is...
Do you think that, I mean, like, it's amazing. Like, people get themselves in some pretty deep holes sometimes. And you can look at, I'm sure we've all met someone who like struggles with like depression or that sort of thing. Do you think a lot of it is from consistency from a young age, like knowing, that your self-worth shouldn't be tied to a win or a loss?
Yeah.
100%.
100%. It shouldn't be. Again, like you say, he was very consistent, and he made it very clear that, again, the medal is a medal. It doesn't. Right. It marks you on the day. You might have had a good day, you might have had a bad, but it doesn't matter. What did you learn? It doesn't matter. What are you going to do different? You didn't prepare very good this time. How are you going to prepare next time? It's all about building. So, that's
forward, not dwelling.
There's people out there and they've done a world title, and they're like, yeah, man, I'm a world champion. I'm this, I'm that. How about there was someone there who potentially is better than you that was ill that week and didn't get there? Are you still a world champion? No, you still got stuff to learn, dude. You just did well on that day, and that's all it is. And that's why we have the hunger of wanting to fight the best and test ourselves. You ask Michael to fight anyone, he's going to do it because he wants to see what he knows. He has an idea and thinks, yeah, I'm on top of the world. No one can stop me. Prove me different. Prove something else. And as soon as someone does it, he's like, oh, nice. This is tasty, right? I'm going to get back into this. I'm going to prove you wrong. Watch when I come back. And that's what it is, I think. I think it's just that kind of, that tit for tat.
Having fun, being competitive, but having fun with it as well.
Having fun. If you're not having fun, people put too much pressure on themselves. That's just what it is.
I think it's tying self-worth to external things, isn't it? It's like you. No, I'll do it with FIFA.
Yeah, I think everyone does that with FIFA.
I'm upset. We have a mutual friend who will literally murder people if he loses. Because you tie your self-worth to the outcome of the game, which is ridiculous. But it's just as ridiculous as tying your self-worth to anything, really. Like, you need to be able to be content. I think that's the biggest lesson I'm still learning from martial arts, is like being able to be happy with what you're learning, and a loss is generally a lot better for you than a win.
Yeah,
because you learn something from it.
100,
You learn and it
100%.
slaps your ego down.
Yeah, 100%. And it's exactly that. It's just you can learn so much more in a loss sometimes than in a win. You get a win, and the crowd goes crazy, and everyone's patting you on the back, and everyone's like, "You're amazing, you're amazing," and you get lost in it sometimes, and you forgot about the 5 things you did wrong that other fighters would have caught you out on. And that's
was there anything specific that you would do after a competition, whether when you were younger or even now, that you talked then about like the 5 things you did wrong, or whatever? Would you know, some people write stuff down, or they talk about it, or they just think about it? Is there something that you did to then, when you came back to training, being more mindful about how you fix the mistakes?
I listened. That was it. That was it. That is literally the start and the finish. I didn't beat myself up. I didn't go back and watch a million. Some people will say, "Oh, I went back and I studied this," and I didn't do nothing like that, because again, it was just learning for me. So as soon as I knew I was going to get a lot of words, I knew I was going to get a lot of information. I knew exactly straight after my dad, whoever is going to tell me everything I did wrong, everything I should have done, everything I need to work on, everything. And at that point, I need to switch my brain on. So as soon as I'm finished, I switch my brain on. I listen hard, I listen closely, then I let it go. And then that's it. I get back to training. And, if I can take a couple of those things and I can put them into my training, great. But other than that, it's the coach's job. You've given me drills to do. Give me another drill that's going to build what you said I need to build. And I'm going to give it my best. I think that's what's important. And 100%, when Mike fought and he took his loss, his coach showed me just how amazing he is in his response, in his attention to detail. Like, I know he's experienced and he knows what he's doing anyway. But as that happened, that was a crazy moment. I was like cage side. There's so much that happens in such a short time. It's unbelievable. So you kind of.
It was an amazing move by
It was the thing that's mad about it is it was an instinctive move that we trained for. That's why it was frustrating, because it was Michael's mistake, but it was something that I've always said. Everyone's always asked me, is Michael ever going to lose?
You're talking about when he stood up too quick and got knocked out.
Yeah, when he got.
I was talking about the leg kick.
But the leg kick, that leg kick is instinctive. If you watch him on his back foot with his back against the cage, that's the first thing he goes to.
Oh, really?
And that's what we knew. And Michael was drawing it out, but stood too close. Maybe got a bit overconfident, who knows? But stood a little bit too close, and the leg actually got caught. Now,
I haven't watched it since I watched it. I've only watched it once.
Yeah, I don't like watching it. It's horrible.
Yeah, but from memory, I thought I didn't know. I didn't know someone could time that kick because Michael's so quick. Maybe he just relied on his speed or whatever. But it's a question to ask him, I suppose.
It was quick. It's so responsive that Michael did something slightly wrong, tried to rectify it straight away.
It's that
instinct to rectify it.
Yeah, man.
Straight away, and that's what messed up.
That is the worst thing to do. Is when you've made a mistake, is to compound it by reacting again.
But he knew that too, and that's the frustration. I think that's where the frustration for Mike in himself, because he's such a cool head. So he knew that. So as soon as he's done it, I don't care who you are. You've got a stage like that where not being funny, he's controlling everything.
Yeah, it's the biggest fight he's ever had against the best.
Imagine how good you're feeling. It's the biggest fight you ever had. He tried to sit on top of you. You held him. He couldn't do nothing. You got up and you carried on lashing him up and down the cage. You're thinking you're a couple punches away from this all being over, and then you make a mistake. And as you make that mistake, you go, "Oh no! I got this. Damn." That's just cool. We're human.
Yeah, man, like it's one of those
and that's
things.
what it is. And I think that's what the frustration is, or was, with Mike, because he is a cool head and he wouldn't usually do that. But again, with Lima, it was an amazing move, but it wasn't anything new. If he threw a different shot, a different angle, a different thing, then I would be like, whoa, I didn't see that coming.
That's why MMA is the toughest sport in the world, man. It's by far the toughest sport.
There's too many, so many variables.
You can't, yeah. Like, and the, you know, everyone that steps in the cage is generally world class and has a move. Everyone, you know, they have a move you got to watch out for.
Let's not forget, he was rocked when he done that tonight.
Yeah.
He was rocked. He said afterwards, like, he wasn't seeing straight. He was literally, he was rocked and managed to pull that off.
He's a bad dude, man. He's a bad dude. Yeah.
That's impressive.
I mean, I've watched his fights with Roy McDonald and stuff. Like, that's tough, man.
That's impressive. If you're rocked and you're still managing to do that and cause damage, most people rocked try and survive the rest of the round. So you can make as much mistakes as you like. They're not coming for you. So for you to be still coming when you're rocked, that's crazy. But again, that's just what it was. But again, like what I was saying before, Mike's coach was just so attention to detail, and he was like, straight away, he went, "I'm accountable. If we had drilled the correct way to get up every day 100 times, he wouldn't have got up that way, even if he wanted to, because he would have been drilled in exactly what to do. I'm going to take that." And I was like, man, you're right, but that's
that extreme ownership, man.
And it was so quick. I'm talking about right after. This is his thought process. So it's not even like you've set in and you've reflected and you've gone, oh man, if we had drilled this, and you're almost in self-pity. He's still in coach mode. So he's going, man, if we done this and we done that, I'm going to take some of that. That was partly my fault as well. And it's not happening again, but you know what? And I was like, wow, that showed me what kind of person of a coach he is. Not only that, is his attention to detail on the family that were there. So we're all there. We've all flown out. And as soon as this happened, his eyes were on us. He was checking in on Mike. He was looking at us. He checked if he was okay. He made sure we knew he's fine. He's okay. Don't worry. He's fine. He's good. And then got back to him. Again, most coaches wouldn't even notice that we were even in the room. Shoot is an amazing place. I must say, I've got to shout out that gym. It's an amazing place just because these people are amazing people. And they are, yes, fighters, but I've never seen outside of what I know as a club and a family for others to behave in such a way. These guys, I take my kids there when I go and train. And again, you don't know what that's going to be like. They were really young at the time, you know what I mean? Like, I was like 1. So, you know, she couldn't walk when I first took her there. Like, they're really, really babies. And
now she can kick.
Now she can, no. Didn't talk about it now. But, you know, I went there, took her, and I was taking her, and sometimes they're loud during training and stuff, and they never said anything. In fact, Marius, Alexis's brother, one of the head coach's brother, gave us a little mini octagon. It looked like a playpen, so she can go in the playpen and you know, but still, she's still pretty much on the mats, but in a playpen while there's beasts just hovering around this place. But amazing people, and I think he's so lucky to find that gym.
It sounded like he'd been to a few to kind of test them out and stuff.
He tested out a few. He was talking about going to America because at the time we didn't know anything. And, you know, my sister's in Florida and he's got American top team and stuff like that. And when he was first starting out, he was thinking about going out there. And then he said he found this gym and he just went, yeah, I know I'm in the right place. And only it's taken, you know, I knew about the gym. I'd been there a couple times, but it's only now I kind of went, right, okay, I want to get into this. I want to train. And I've really started to learn the people that are there. And like I said, these guys will be 1 minute rolling, sparring, smashing each other up. Next minute, they're sweeping and playing and laughing with my, you know, 1-year-old and my 4-year-old. And they're playing games with them. And they're you know, you see Shipman, Mike Shipman, lovely guy, but he, my boy got a Switch. and you'll sit down next to him, and when the switch, you got to take off the ends, right? So the pad's like really, really small, and you got this big guy just sitting down, like practically cross-legged, next to this 4-year-old on the switch like this, like laughing, like, I'm going to beat you, I'm going to beat you. It's amazing. It's amazing to see. And it's just, obviously, outside of my own gym, like I said, I've never seen that before. And when I went to an MMA gym, you're not expecting that. You're expecting everyone to just be...
blood and spit and sawdust, man.
They can switch it on, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but it's different, isn't it?
Like,
more,
there's more than that to it. And that's what I think the coaching environment should be, and what a good coach would bring out in people and in fighters.
You think business. I think it's business, but like, I think fighting is such a you're getting literally blood, sweat, and tears with other people. You naturally, those borders between like business and friends and family, it all kind of gets blurred a little bit. I think that's why it's important for people who are looking for a martial arts gym. It can sometimes. I was very lucky. I found your dad's gym. And now I'm at a cool jiu-jitsu gym as well, who's also really good. But there's lots of gyms that kind of take advantage of that particular aspect of martial arts to kind of invent their own cult and screw people over, take their money and all that sort of thing. So it's important that people are aware that can happen, and to make sure when they find a gym that when you start martial arts and you're serious about martial arts, this is going to be a part of your journey. It's going to be getting really close with the people you train with. So it's important that at the beginning you make sure that the culture and the environment and the rules and the boundaries are all there, so that you don't get sucked into some mad cult. Yeah,
it's 100%, and you're right. And then you don't even realize, you look up and it's happened. Man.
It gets away with you, man. You read about it all the time, man. You see it on the internet. You see like all these crazy stories of people getting involved with crazy business leaders and all that sort of stuff. And you wonder how it happens, but it literally happens like inch by inch, and then like 2 years later you're down like $5,000 or whatever, and you're sucked into this mad world. You got to look at the students and the people that's in that room. I think it's not even always so much the coach. The students will reflect the coach. They attract a certain energy. If you ever feel emotionally, if you ever feel emotional in a bad way around your coaches, if you're feeling guilty, ashamed, any of that stuff, that's one of them kind of like get out moments. You don't want to be guilt tripped by your coach. You want to get like a straight, this is what you're doing right, this is what you're doing wrong. Very much what we spoke about earlier on about being like, solving your own problems and stuff, and don't come to me to solve your problems and all that sort of thing. Because you're a coach. You're not like you're just a normal dude, man, with 10 world championships.
I just can't walk on water. Depend, all these. It's true though, isn't it? They think you can. Bit of mind control. But I can't do all of these things. I'm just a high level at what I do. I've been doing it for a long time. And that's it. Other than that, respect that. And in your chosen field, you're probably the same. And if you're in my house, obviously, I'm gonna tell you how to navigate it around the best. And that's what it is. But I think a lot of them do get pulled into that whole you are the be all and end all of the world. I mean, as a child, you do that anyway. So you can't. They get older and they realize that you're human too. But if like, even sometimes I'll go to the supermarket and I'll see one of my students and they'll see me and I'll be like, and they like freeze. And they like can't say hello, can't say goodbye. They kind of awkwardly smile and try and miss, because I'm outside of that environment. Like, when you see your teacher on the bus
wearing normal clothes.
Wearing normal clothes. When you see your teacher, you're riding on the bus with your friends, and all of a sudden your teacher's sitting across from you, and you're like, oh, everyone goes quiet, and you're like, oh, you feel like you're in class again. But really, it's just a person, isn't it? It's not.
Man. I suppose kind of like to wrap things up, because we've been rabbiting on now.
We've been rabbiting on for a half.
And we can go for a lot longer.
Oh, a lot longer, trust me. Yeah.
And we haven't mentioned the C word, which is great.
Yeah. I know. That'll come.
Wrap things up, kind of, where do you see just two questions. Where do you see kind of point fighting, sport karate, whatever you want to call it, going over the next kind of 5 to 10 years? What's the future of that sport? And the future of kind of MMA. When do you think that sport karate and stuff will have a bigger influence over the next kind of 5 to 10 years as well?
Oh man. So when it comes to point fighting and that style, it could go so many different ways. I think at the moment we're hurting our own sport, and when I say we're, I'm going to include myself in that. In regards to, there's so many different organizations and just no real unification. With a school or with a style that's not really as recognized as others, or has the funding and the rest of it, but yet has so many participants around the world, we should be coming together. But there's just so much politics at the top, which is what happens with a lot of sports. It's not just ours, but there's so much politics at the sports with which organizations staying true to the traditional background, which ones changing rules for the sake of it, which ones just trying to tick boxes to jump through hoops to get recognition from someone who doesn't even care about the sport.
Do you ever think, I heard a lot of stuff about this, but do you ever always just think this is all just excuses just because people just want to make money?
Yeah. Well, what happens is someone throws something out there, it starts doing really well, they start making money, other people realize they can do the same thing, they jump on board, they start making money, then everyone starts fighting over the money. There's no word over the sport or the rest of it, and then everyone picking up pieces, the fighters and the rest of it, who are paying their own money to be a part of it, they miss out, essentially.
So do you see it changing?
I've always said, for it to change, there would have to be a massive change at the top. I'm talking a new generation sweep of fresh, open minds. The same thing we was talking about, like traditional martial arts and people who see one thing and go this way. I'm talking about open minds. Someone who says, look, I'm happy to work with that organization, that I don't mind. I would prefer we all work together and I'll take a little bit less to help this sport move forwards. Now, because people are already making money, we don't know if that's ever going to happen, because you have to maybe sacrifice what you might have today for the future of what everyone will have tomorrow. That's hard to say. But I say the only thing that would really work is if there was like a really, really rich millionaire walks in, sets something up and says, right, I'll give you this much to be a part of what I'm doing, this much to be a part, and just throws money around all the organization and says, but you all have to work together and you all have to listen to me and I'll make this blow. Then there wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, is it?
It's not going to happen, is it?
And I think
Abramovich, you need someone.
I think the way the sport perceives itself needs to change. I think that MMA will have will start to exert like a big gravitational pull on all the combat sports. It will start to exert its influence on things, and you'll see a lot of, lot of the talented fighters from sport karate and stuff looking to go into MMA. It'll become like, I think it will become expected of many martial arts clubs, whether they're grappling clubs, whether they're kickboxing clubs, to offer a mixed martial arts offering. Yeah. And to be seen as MMA clubs. We're an MMA club with a point fighting base. This is, we teach MMA from this kind of perspective and that sort of thing. I think that's the way it will change. I think in a club by club basis, it might be. I do think MMA is not for everyone. I'll be honest with you. It's women, not, we find. Sorry, go on. Go on. I find at the moment we have a lot of women participating in our sessions in general. Whereas I'll go to another MMA gym and there's a really small amount, simply because it's very confrontational. And also, it's got an image problem. But not only that, the physicality of what you're doing is a lot. Like having someone sitting on you, even if they're pretending to punch you,
Like, even if they're like, I would be doing this to you right now, and then I'm going to flip you over, and then I'd be doing this. Even
I agree.
It's a lot for some people to take in.
I think it's the expectations that people have going into martial arts clubs now. It's the expectations of what you're going to get.
Yeah.
You know, like you're going to go in, and you know, a lot of people would go in and have no idea what they would see. They would have no idea what a fight looks like. You understand what boxing would look like, you have some idea, but you wouldn't understand what a fight would look like or what. So you go in and you have a kind of expectation of what things will look like. And I think that will change the way clubs and stuff do things. I think it'll ultimately be good for clubs. I think it will be good because it will, you know, it will change the emphasis from the sport. Getting, you know, I think the biggest contribution that this sport can have is producing world-class fighters to fight on international stages, whether it's an MMA, Bellator, UFC, in boxing or whatever. That's the way it's going to contribute. It's not good. I don't think it's ever going to be a point where it is looked at as a number one combat professional sport.
Oh no, I mean, Norse Taekwondo. Karate.
Yeah, Norse Taekwondo.
It's not really built for that. I don't think.
If the profile raises high enough, then it can, you know, Olympics and that sort of thing.
It's not the image. Look, those things like boxing and MMA has a very strong point of danger. That's why it's entertaining. I'll be honest with you. If no one's getting not choked or the rest of it, it's not as entertaining. It's the element of danger that makes it. But you know, you watch a magician. Some of the best magicians are the ones who look like they're in danger. People like that stuff.
It's the jeopardy, isn't it?
I wouldn't. They can sit in their chair and be like, I would hate to be that person right now, but this is amazing.
I had a weird experience the other night. One when I watched Michael get knocked out. I was just like, I didn't really enjoy that. Like, it kind of made me feel a bit like
too close to home.
Too personal, man. I was like, I didn't enjoy that, and then it made me think about all the times I've enjoyed watching someone get knocked out and think, I'm a hypocrite or whatever. But then I was obviously in this isolation. I started watching old fights on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I never watched the Ultimate Fighter TV show when it first aired.
Yeah.
But I obviously knew about it. But then I started watching them, and I was watching Tony Ferguson's fight against someone, some lad, some poor bloke that's gone in there with him, and they have no crowd, no nothing. It's just the fighters, and you can hear the noise that they make when they're. And I was like, oh, it's different when you're. It's different, isn't it? Like, not as. It's a bit like, oh God, not as fun to watch.
It's not as enjoyable.
Not as enjoyable, man. But some people really like that, and it's weird.
It's just a bloodthirst. That is boxing as well. If there's an element of danger, people like watching the heavyweights because the chances are they're heavy. They're not going 12 rounds. Someone's getting knocked out. That's just generally what the case is. And I'd be a hypocrite if I said that I didn't enjoy the fact that.
I don't think I do. I think I'd much prefer watching like a sick piece of skill. If someone does something, I'm like,
100%.
That's amazing.
100%. But the thing is,
was so good.
That generally is a very small handful of fighters.
Yeah.
So if that was the case, the sport wouldn't survive. If you look at it at that point of view.
Same, isn't it? But I think that's the majority of sports. I think when people watch even like mainstream sports like football and stuff, people aren't watching the individual pieces of play or they're watching like the goals and the fouls and the results. Yeah.
And the tribalness that comes behind it. You get behind someone, I'm from this, someone's from, the Irish. The Irish are great at it. Someone from Ireland steps on the stage and they go mental. Because we're behind you, the whole country's behind you, and they can have that kind of spirit, and I feel like that's what sells a lot of it for these kind of sports as well. I think it's a bit harder if you've got a head guard on, a gum shield, you're padded up, from head to toe, and it's hard for them to even see your face, let alone know.
There's the reason why amateur boxing isn't as big as professional.
But since they've taken the head guards off of amateur boxing, everyone wants to watch a lot more.
People just love a scrap.
You just love a scrap, and you can kind of almost live through people. The amount of people that's messaged me and be like, on Mike's next fight, you want to tell him to do this and do that and do this, and I'll be like, Dude, he's got a coach.
Really?
He's got a coach. I'm not going to do that. But it's just, you just get to live through, and even whether they're right or wrong, you know, they have that kind of, you would do this. And
mate, I get it as well, man. When Michael's fighting and stuff, just the mere fact that I know him and stuff, I'm like you're like, there's obviously more on the line, like, you know it. And when people, you know, you can say to people like, oh, you know, it's a friend of mine, like, it's amazing, like, it's a point of pride, isn't it? Like, you feel proud to, like, kind of
100%.
be involved in even like the smallest way. So I can kind of understand that.
That's all it is. Just feeling that kind of sense of pride and involvement. And, you know, we have football teams and they didn't mean what they used to, you know. I support Manchester United. I don't live anywhere near Manchester.
Proper glory hunter.
Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, you're a glory hunter. I'll be like, no, I like the team, so I'm going to support. So what? How many of those people?
And winning all the
trophies do help. But you know what attracted me was the manager at the time, and his personality, I guess, the way he got it out of people and the way his persona, I liked it. But then I think that always trickled down to the martial arts. Me seeing my dad in the way he was as a coach, I gravitated towards Fergie. I just gravitated towards him. I remember getting his book and everything and just thinking, this guy's just really interesting. And that's what really sold the team for me. I wasn't into football like that anyway, so it is what it is.
I remember watching David Beckham's goal from the halfway line. I watched it and I was
like,
this is my team.
This is my team. Yeah.
That was it.
It's true. But look, so then how many people probably look at Michael and watch
QPR, and I was not going to watch QPR.
Yeah, no, I forget that. Yeah. But it's like that, or, you know, how many people watch Michael, see him do what he does a massive, like, jump 360 and go, that's my guy. That's my guy. I love this.
Yeah, man. People love watching, like, human potential and seeing people pushing it and
because
doing
they can see themselves. Stuff. They can see themselves. Oh, man, if I was a little bit younger, if I just stayed into that football academy for a little bit longer, you could see yourself. So you're like, yeah, man, that would be me. And you start living through that person almost. And that's where the personal stuff comes in when you don't know them. You know, sometimes you feel gutted for something. You know, AJ loses and the whole nation feels gutted. Yet none of them know him. None of them know. He could be a real arsehole. Like, you might not know him, but the whole nation feels it in their soul and this and that because you're invested. You're invested in that person.
People love a hero story, man.
Oh, 100%.
People love a hero story. They want that. They want
so popular. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's why Tyson Fury coming out with stuff, man. People love him now because he's giving them a Rocky story.
I mean, I like
cool.
him, but
I like him too.
I like him because he just seems really real. Just really, he is who he is. I respect that.
According to the cameras.
According to the cameras. I mean, he's even said in the cameras recently on one of his interviews, I'm an entertainer. That's what I do. I come to entertain. But I respect that too. I mean, Mike's an entertainer to an extent, you know. But
yeah, I've always
that's also his personality, though. He's that guy.
His fighting style is entertaining. But it's funny because, and this is the last point.
Yeah, I know.
It's funny how you watch, if you watch like Wonder Boy, who I think is probably his style his base is very similar to Michael's. He's a counter fighter, comes from that point karate background and stuff. When you watch him, unless he's knocking someone out, he's not fun to watch.
No.
When you watch Michael, he is fun to watch. He's bounced around the cage and moving in and out and doing the dances.
It's funny you say that, though.
But it is what he's doing with Wonder Boy is they're both doing similar things. They're working on that distance. They're waiting, trying to bait the move. They can get the counter off. Like, it's the same thing.
The thing is, it's funny because I think that's what you know you're looking at versus what you're not sure about as well. Like, I would find Wonder Boy, even Larkin's last fight when he was in Japan with Mike, really entertaining just because it was just so nicely pieced together. But I'm not watching a fight for the sake of a fight. I'm watching technical skill because I'm a coach. So I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh, and look how he slipped away from that. Bam, bam, and oh, that's great. And that combination was lovely. That was slick movement. I'm getting excited because as a coach, I'm seeing stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. Whereas other people's like, oh, come on, no one's really getting hit. No one's really getting hurt. He's not doing anything to him. And it's a different mindset. So you watch it with different eyes. Like jiu-jitsu, when I first, obviously, Michael first came into MMA and I didn't know what it was. I was like, this is so dead. Like, they're on the floor. I have no idea what's going on the floor. And the referee, I'm like, ref, come on, stand them up. Like, they're just rolling around on the floor. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, you'd see someone's hand tap and the music go on and you're like, what happened? I feel cheated. Like, what was that about? But when you understand and you've done it yourself, now it's exciting. Oh, he's almost got it on. Oh, it was great reversal. Oh, my days, how did he get out of that? And you can get excited because you understand what's going on. I think football's always done the best because it's such a simple concept. My goal's here, your goal's here. You try and get it ball in mine, I'm going to try and get my ball in yours. And that's it.
And everyone, well, every young and girl nowadays, but like when we were younger anyway, every young man has played football
and
can relate to it.
In it. Yeah,
can relate to it. Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Good chat.
Nice chat. Nice first chat, eh?
we'll let the audience be the judge, but we're not going to tie our self-worth to that.
No. Yes. Exactly. Doesn't matter. We
and even if this bombs, a loss is better than a win.
You learn more from a loss. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
But I don't care. I'm having fun.
I care. I looked at world titles.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, man. Nice one, mate.
Oh, mate.
Yeah. Until next time.
See ya.